35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20.
19.
18.
8.
7.
6.
5.
4.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And yes, we're back. I was in sunny Florida for the last couple weeks, and we did a rerun of the best of the conspiracy theories. So I hope that you liked that. I hope you tuned in and caught that. And the theme was basically Spirit Airlines and Ed. So I sort of surrounded it by that. But we also had one of our first. I think our second show was a conspiracy theory about the birds being drones by the government from our good friend Ashton. And I hope she's doing well up there in Hamilton County as a teacher. But hey, so we're back alive. We're back live and we're all here. It looks like everybody's ready to go backstage. It's like herding cats chasing butterflies on the back of turtles sometimes, getting these shows together. But hey, we got a good one for you tonight. This is, Ray Peck. He's famous. He's famous for the permitting. I thought I was the permitting stepchild, but this guy, he's like the Tiny Tim of permitting. He has been fighting with the city since 2017 about a deck up on Geist in his backyard. And I think you'll be amazed at all the hoops and hurdles and all this. But hey, it's finally over. He's got it done. So we're going to recap the fun that he had there. So we'll bring him on shortly. But hey, next week we have Michael Paul Hart. He's a county counselor here in District 20. He'll be on next week. We're going to talk about AI, which I call IA sometimes because I don't know why. I'm dyslexic in AI. But so he's going to come on. He's going to talk about how he's going to integrate AI into some of the city programming. And it might even help with this situation with Ray, because it seems like, we have this permitting, the business neighborhood services. They've been closed for like a month to move. I think they're moving to the city county council. So they need 3 months to do that. So they're not open. So if you want to go get a permit in person or go talk to somebody in person, you need to catch them on Madison Avenue going up to the county building, because it's not supposed to open till like February. So it better be nice down there. They're taking all this time to do that on our dime. And then also after that, we have a special guest. I don't know if he's going to be disguised. Actually testified in front of the January 6th committee. He was cybersecurity for the My Pillow Guys Symposium. And he's got, we might as well even name that one maybe conspiracy theory shows, or as Lucy would say, conspirafact, because he's going to bring some inside information on that. And then guess what? Remember we had John Rust on our show trying to run for U.S. Senate against Jim Banks? He won a little court case last week. I was texting back and forth with him today, and he's going to come on in January. And they're going to, I guess they appealed it because, that's how they do it. But looks like he might be able to get on the ballot. So don't count your chickens before they hatch, right? Everybody knows he's a big egg farmer. 21 million chickens, 1.18 million eggs a day. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of chickens to take care of. I got 4, can barely keep them alive. So I don't know how he does it. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest. Let's see, Ray, are you in, Ray? Are you there?
I am here.
Do you like my backdrop there? That is one of my red tags on my house when they were hassling me to, which I was very interested to find out that I paid more in permits for my room addition than you did for your deck, but I didn't have near the legal fees
Oh, yes.
You had. So real quick, tell us a little bit about yourself and how the heck did you get on the Mouthwash show and so famous about permitting?
Well, first I would like to ask, you have live chickens?
Yeah, I got 4 of them. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's cool. I would love to have live chickens. My cats and dogs would
Oh,
eat them.
wait. I want to stop you right there. I know where you live. I know who you live around. You show up with 1 chicken up there, you'll be right back in the permit problems. I just
Oh
tell
my
you
gosh,
so.
yeah, the chicken here better be packaged. Otherwise, no one's going to tolerate it around here. It better be out of Kroger.
I said,
We're going there.
son, I keep my feathers numbered for just such an emergency.
Oh,
I'll give you a dozen eggs out of my chickens, and then you'll really want them because they're pretty good.
I will take them.
Yep. So Ray, tell our audience a little bit about why the heck you're here.
Well, again, glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. We bought this house, what was it, 2004. Wife and I got married, bought a house on Geist. We've got 25 feet of lakefront. 25 feet. That's it. That's all we got.
Look at you go.
There was a patio on the 25 feet, and we rebuilt it probably 5 years after we moved in. We've lived here 20 years now, and we rebuilt it, and then we rebuilt it again in 2017. And on the same spot, same location, same patio, the whole type of thing. And it was nicer, of course. No one builds something worse. So a little bit nicer, but on the same spot. And we have a neighbor who had a fit, and he called police and city and had all these inspectors come out. In a nutshell, the inspectors came out, 3 different inspectors on 3 different days. They met with the builders, met with my wife and I, looked at the patio, looked at the plans, and said, no problem. No stop work orders, no permits needed. You can continue building. And each of them put that in their records. Each of them, said that, hey, here's what we did. They typed it up in their reports, and they have that. So our builder asked, every one of them, so we can continue building without delay. And each of them said yes. So not surprisingly, we continued building. And a couple weeks later, it was done. 6 weeks after it was done, the city came out and said, sorry, we changed our mind. You have to tear your patio out.
George.
I'm like, oh, no, this is a nice patio. This is like $75,000.
I'm going to while you're talking, I'll put a picture up there of it. And, back there where it's white, that's the water. So,
oh, yeah, it is.
It's like nice. I've been up there. It's nice. So,
it's a fun patio. But again, it's only 25 feet. We're not talking about a nuclear power plant, or we're not talking about like a football stadium. This is a 25 foot. I mean, it's what would that be? 8 paces across, and that's all it is. So they told us to take it out. We said, no, we're not going to. We were nice. We said, what can we do? So we met with them countless times over many years. Every time they told us to do something, they would eventually change it. They would eventually completely change their mind. And we'd say, well, wait a minute. How are we going to, you told us to do A and we did A. Now you're telling us to do B. So then we do B, and then they tell us something else. This went on for about 6.5 years. And they, it kept going. Lawyers, threats, police, everybody. And they said, we might have to tear this out. I said, if you do, there will be a battle with my family and the city. And I will blame you, as I told them, the guy we met with. I said, I'm not tearing this out. It's my patio on my own property. So we had one person, I won't say who, but one guy who was pushing this whole thing and kept on trying to get them to find a way to make our patio get torn out. And we fought it. And we fought it because it's the right thing to do. I mean, not to get philosophical, but let's be honest, the worst defined word in the English language is freedom. Everyone says, oh, we're free. America's free. What the hell does that mean?
Don't build a deck. That's what that means.
That's what it is. Freedom to do what? Freedom from what? And sure enough, freedom, what our founding fathers meant was freedom from this, freedom from oppressive government. So we fought them for about 6.5 years. And we had lots of meetings with them, and we tried to find something to do. And basically, we told them, why don't you come out, sit down with us on the patio, and let's spend, instead of 6.5 years or 6.5 more years, let's spend about 30 minutes and come up with an idea. Again, we're not talking Lucas Oil Stadium. We're talking a paver patio, which is 25 feet by about 30 feet, give or take. Maybe not even that big. And they refused. They said, no, we have too much, bureaucracy. So it just continued. And we continued living our lives. We had a great time. So WTHR, allowed to mention another station, I hope.
Oh,
WTHR.
no, hey, we cross promote here. No
Oh,
problem.
we got to do it. They came out and they did a story on us, and they said this is hideous. This is horribly bad. And so they did a very lengthy reporting thing, a news story, and they interviewed one of the people from the city, a lady named Amy Wonder, who a nice lady, but
Yeah, I saw a video about her on Depends.
it was probably the worst bureaucratic interview that I've ever seen, maybe in history. I mean, this was not good. Basically, the reporter asked her 3 separate times, what do you need a permit for? Well, we don't know. It depends. Well, what about for a fire pit or a patio or a fence or a trellis? Well, that depends. Well, what can you tell people about when to come to you for a permit? Well, that depends. She gave no answers, and it was laughable. So anyway, bottom line was that interview did not go well. So as the interview got promoted and sent around and all that, someone made a parody of it, which was amazing and funny as hell. It really was. And probably on your website somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I think you can just look it up. It's like, I think it's building. I don't know what the name is, but just look it up on YouTube.
It depends. Bureaucratic undergarments.
I know it's okay. Bureaucratic under. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, it is.
Well, and that's how we found you, Ray. I mean, it was a little bit of that story, and how do you get your voice heard when bureaucrats come on you like this? And honestly, I think they want to make an example of people. I went through the same thing. People know me as, I guess, like I said with you earlier, I said, I thought I was the king of, or the stepchild of permitting, but man, you're like Tiny Tim of permitting. You really fought them. But
God bless us, everyone.
Yes,
right?
yes, that's exactly right. But my thought is, well, what if you're a person who doesn't have the means? And we're going to go over some of these numbers when we get the panel on here. I'm sure they're going to ask some of these questions.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're a person that can't afford that, say you got 4 kids and you want to add a room on, and you get into this nightmare like you got into, and we had somebody have to tear down their whole garage here in Mars Hill about 9 years ago. Same situation, but they couldn't afford to fight them.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting. Well, let's do this. I think we're caught up to speed on this. I'm going to go ahead and play small talk. It's funny. I think it's pretty good. So you'll like this, and we'll bring the panel on. I think they are chomping at the bit to get to this. So let's listen to Mark Small, and we'll have the panel on the other side.
Hi, this is Mark Small for Small Talk. Whoever said you have to get a permit for anything you're going to do on your property? Where did that come from? Did somebody put this in the Constitution? You have to have a permit to scratch your butt? To do with your property as you want to do for all time? Anywhere, any place? Where did that come up anyway? Well, kind of when people start living close together. They have things that are being done on one property that might go over to another property. And so they've got a need. If you're going to build something, generally, wherever you are in the 21st century, you're going to have a permit. So if you're on the computer, shut it down for a minute off the porn and look up what permits might be required in your area just to do some homework yourself. If you're going to build a garage or something, generally, unless you're a garage builder, and then you all know about this anyway, you want to get a professional who knows what they're doing, has experience, licensed, bonded, insured, and then you put in that contract, make sure that they will take care of permits. Now, that might not make it all that good for you. That might not be a defense, but it can't hurt. And down the road, if you get hit for the wrong things, you don't have a permit, you can get fined, you could have that garage ordered to be removed, and you could pay for all that yourself, and you really, really don't want to do that. So just remember, it sucks, but them's the breaks on permits. Peace, love, happiness, freedom, nanu nanu.
Yes.
Yeah, so
the guy in Lawrence that had the permitting problem.
Yeah. Lucy, we're on the air now, by the way.
Hey, we're on the air now.
Yeah.
Here, let me yell at my
This is a live show, so
really
it's good to see everybody's smiling faces after a week off. It was amazing. I actually was able to put that mouthwash show on without even being here. It was unbelievable. So we thanks for the video for our viewers that's sticking with the program here. That's good. So I mean, you all were backstage. You all heard this. Let me go over the numbers real quick that Ray has spent. He spent $100K on legal fees, 11,000 on the repair that they made him do, and I'll show that picture here in a second. Let's go ahead and show that now. This is a picture of the repair that had to be done. Let's see right there. So apparently that was encroaching on you can see his property line, but for some reason that made them feel warm and fuzzy. That was $11K to fix that. And then he only had a $2,000 fine and a $230 court cost. So I felt like I got cheated when I had to pay $2,200 in fees, and not fines, but permits to do my room addition. So Ray, you got me on that one. Maybe I should have held out for 7 years and spent all that money. So let's start with, this is right up Lucy's alley on government overreach. So we're going to start with Lucy. First of all, tell us how you're doing, Lucy. You got everything nailed down there in Salem, Indiana, and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Washington County is under control. You know, it's just as chaotic as before I got here, and I haven't had to pay off any local officials, so I think we're okay. Hey, Ray, so wonderful to see you again. Glad to see the update. Yeah, you have such a beautiful place there. I'll comment on Mark Small for just a second, because a lot of people, say with the libertarians that, that we have a problem with things like permitting, but they're really good for the public because it gives us the opportunity to make sure that you have zones and industrial zones and residential zones. But really it comes under trespass law. So if I were doing something that created a hazard to my neighbors or an encroachment, there are trespassing remedies at law. The Aaron Brockovich, the people that were attacked by Aaron Brockovich and she brought them to justice, they found out that you can't just poison people. And so those are all trespassing laws. No amount of zoning would have ever stopped that kind of criminal behavior. It was it was that court case that did it. So Mark Small is, a little bit wrong on this. Like, we don't need permits. We don't need that sort of thing. It's in the consumer's best interest to make sure that, there is a bonding and insuring on their contractors. Obviously, it's in their best interest. And think about, the last lamp that you bought. It probably had a UL symbol. So there are third-party solutions and verification solutions, just like the GMO project, where consumers can ensure that they're getting the right thing. And those third-party verification organizations and their integrity and reliability and transparency, they would actually compete over who would get to do, the label on something. So I think permits are for the dogs. It's just another way to tax this, and we all know that taxation is theft.
All right, I'm coming into that famous Lucy question. I mean, Lucy comment. Is there a question in here somewhere, Lucy?
By the way, are you going to now open up a side business consulting on how to deal with the government and permitting processes? You're welcome to get your money back.
I helped a friend put together, someone who helped me on this, the zoning thing. I helped him put together a zoning website. I did it for him. I used my company website person and got that set up because he really helped. It was everything he told me was accurate. So, but yeah, I mean, some of the things you're saying they're totally true. I mean, I don't want someone building a nuclear power plant in my backyard or building a dumping stuff into the river, but it's the old pendulum thing. Here's my pendulum right here. The pendulum swings one way and then it's bad. And you get Aaron Brockovich and you get, poisoned rivers. My family originally was from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh originally, way back in like the early mid 20th century, they could not have steamships in the rivers because they were so caustic that it would mess up the boilers because the steel mills were dumping everything in the river. So again, they stopped that, but then the pendulum swung too far. And now the government is telling us, no, you can't build a paver patio on your own property just because. And you have to have not just one permit, but 4. And that's the issue we're running into. And the problem we've run into is the government bureaucrats have no accountability, none. There's no consequences, no matter what they say to you, no matter how many mistakes they make. There's no consequences. There's no accountability whatsoever. And I think that's what is amazing people. And the other part is there's no one to go to. If you need help, there's no one that you can pick up the phone and call or send an email to that's going to help you. You are out there twisting in the wind. The government laughs at you because they have unlimited money. They have perfect job security. They can do anything to you they want. And what are you going to do? Fight them? You know, you've got to throw a lot of money. I mean, we spent a lot of money getting this fixed, but I could not in good conscience let this stand. So we continued to fight, and we continued to try to make them look as stupid as possible. You ever heard of Sun Tzu, The Art of War?
Yes.
When your enemy is angry, irritate them. So I irritated the living beep out of them until they finally said, enough of this. It's an election year. And they're like, why don't you just tear your patio out? And I gave them some suggestions that are biologically impossible. But they did not take my suggestion. If they did, they would still be in the hospital.
They couldn't breathe.
Yes, it wouldn't be good. But
Isn't that just another transgender designation? You know, if they're headed up their butt. I mean, that would be paid for by taxpayer dollars if I understand how the system works. Before I pass the baton, I would like to say one more thing before we pass the baton to Tiff or Brad, and that is that there is actually an accountability mechanism that is within the law, but almost no one knows about it. And it's another whole rabbit hole to go down. And that is that public officials are supposed to post private bonds so that if they mess up, if they do something that's unconstitutional or against their oath, that you as a person of the public have the remedy to sue the bond company. And then public officials who, commit criminal acts or in some way, have had that bond have a charge against the bond. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know the word for it when you get a judgment against the bond, but then they don't become bondable, right? They're unbondable at that point, which means that they're then unfit to hold public office. Can you imagine if 50 or 49 years ago we could have, attacked a bond on Biden? We wouldn't even have him here today. And Hunter,
it's all your fault, Lucy. It's all your fault. I'm going to go to. Speaking of government officials, I'm going to go to Tiffany here in a second, but I think you'll find this interesting. So, a couple of weeks ago, I got a notice of being fined from your buddies there, at Business Neighborhood Services, and apparently from my permit in 2019, my HVAC guy failed to pull a permit, so they were now fining me $258 for failure to do the permit. So I can do it because if I call them, I'm going to cuss at them. I'm going to go Ray Peck on them. So I got Lisa to call. Lisa calls up and come to find out that's how she found out what the violation. First, it was just a collection agency coming after us for this fine. Well, then I call my HVAC guy because back in the good old days, me as a general contractor, I'd pull a permit and everyone would pull off of my permit. Well, now, as you said earlier, you have to have 4 permits. You have to have each sub pull these permits. Well, me as a general contractor, I have no clue if they did or did not pull the permit. So I call up Nathan. I said, dude, what's up? He said, here, I'll send you over my permit. So I got a copy of the permit, sent it to Lisa. She sent it in. And guess what? Oh, we made a mistake. So, that's like, how many years is that? Now we're looking at this. So $28 million is what Business Neighborhood Services brings in each year. They're probably in the early 2000s. To give you a little history lesson, in the 2000s, it was a city funded organization. Under Mayor Ballard, he did it a half fee-based, half city-funded. And then I think, when Hogsett got in there, now it's all fee-based. So they have to fine, they have to charge permits, they have to do all this to raise money to pay for all those little fancy cars they drive around in. So that gives you an update on why we are where we are, why these fees cost so much, and why you get into big messes with them. And that's just how it goes. So Tiffany, you being our government, punching bag here, get ready to go.
Is that your official job title?
She's actually Fisher's. Go ahead and tell them, Tiffany.
January 1st.
Oh yeah, we can't punch on her too hard. She got to make it to the end of the year.
Please, I know. So Ray, since we last saw you, I ran for city council and I won here in Fisher. So super excited and. Yeah, I'm super excited. Transitioned off of the library board. Yay, super excited about that too. Ready for a whole other can of worms. But and I know it's been a while since you were on. I think it was the springtime because I was on too. But for the people in the cheap seats, So you needed 4 permits instead of 1?
No, you need a drainage permit. You need an improvement location permit, which basically you're saying that's their permit to tax you more. You're basically saying, I have a house worth this much, and now I'm going to improve it, and I'm going to make it this much, and they're increased taxes. Drainage, structural, electrical, and improvement location permit, and that's you can even get more because they kind of make it up as they go. Because I even have their internal emails where they say, well, I don't think you need this permit for a paver patio. And they say, well, let's let them get it anyway. And you find out how arbitrary everything is. I mean, it's totally arbitrary. You could build a huge anything on one property and they don't say anything or do anything. But then the next one, you put up a mailbox and they're like, oh, no, that's a structure. So,
yeah, it
so
is.
My second question is from the picture that John showed, you just had to move your wall over?
We had to move a small portion of the wall over about a foot. And that whole section you're looking at there, that's about 8 feet. And again, out of 25 feet, we consider it a victory. If you look where the stairs are coming down by the lake. We had to move that little section in about 1 to 2 feet. We had to have a 2-foot gap from the property line to where the patio started. So we have people in now and they say, okay, well, when are you going to have to make the changes to your patio? We say, we already did. And they're like, wait a minute. No, it's the same. I said, well, we had to move it in a little bit on one side. So it's pretty much indistinguishable from what we had before. And we also got to keep our counter because they want us to take the counter out. And
anything above 18 inches is sort of is a trigger for some of these things. And it just.
What do you mean being 18 inches from the property line?
From the ground. Now, Ray, you did fix some of your stuff by bringing more mulch up. Is that correct?
Yes.
On one side.
You can bring your property down or you can bring the ground up.
Good to know.
I'm skin a cat, and I have 2 cats, so I don't skin them.
It's very arbitrary. And, they have so much turnover that you can't get the same person in a row. I mean, that's the problem. I had a zoning person come out or a health department person come out on my porch and say, your porch is unsafe. I said, I got a permit to fix the porch. She quits the next day, writes me up, quits the next day. It takes me 2 weeks to find out who took over for her. Nobody did. And I said, don't you people look and see if you got a building permit before you write somebody up on the health? You can't make this stuff up. So like I said, I thought I was the stepchild of permitting, but Ray, you take the cake. Now, Brad, you've been so patient up there, and I look at the look on Brad's face.
But this sounds like, okay, so they're understaffed then, right? So they need to hire more people who are going to issue more, fines to get more. Oh my God, it's the worst little racket there is.
It's like a Rubik's Cube, all the same color. It's terrible.
It's worse than you think. The turnover is unbelievable. They lose about a third of their people or more every year, including all their management.
What? I mean, shouldn't that be kind of examined a lot though? Then, because that has to be insane to difficult for the bureaucratic resistance. I love that.
He meant the stepchild is what he really meant.
The bureaucracy makes sense if these people are in those positions for years at a time, that you know who you're dealing with, but not if there's that much turnover, and that needs to be addressed before really anything else. By the way, Ray, I'm sorry, that looks like a fantastic deck too.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love your answer of just saying that, I just went about my life and, lived on the porch. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. Living on that deck seems awesome. So
it has been a lot of fun. And dealing with this, having it hanging over your head, kind of the sort of the patio of Damocles hanging over our head, this whole thing. It's been a challenge. And part of the issue is, every city employee you talk to has complete authority. The city might deny that, but it's true. When a city inspector comes out and tells you to do something, you have to do that, and the city writes it down, and that becomes the law. And then they quit the next day, and then someone else comes out and says, no, they told you to do this. You actually had to do that. If you do that, then it's like, no. Now you have to go this way. Everybody has full authority.
Well, what are the what are the penalties though? Is it just, money, or is it
money, harassment, legal fees? The city doesn't realize that, again, we're not poor. I can't say we're poor, but at the same time, every time they talk to you, they want to have your attorney. They want to say, call your attorney. I said, you realize an attorney in Indiana has an average price of like $400 an hour? So when you have me talking to an attorney, that's $400. If you went to McDonald's and ordered an Egg McMuffin and they billed you $410, you'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. Where'd my $400 go? And they're like, well, it's just, it's the same price you pay for a lawyer.
Shouldn't there be a public defender for this too, by the way?
I don't know. I think you'd have to prove, probably only in criminal cases, but you probably have to prove need. And it would be hard.
Just like a ragtag, like Rudy type.
Oh yeah. I would be fine with that. I would have taken Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Hey, put the patio.
Vinny.
I would love it.
But
I love that Joe Pesci.
I had a question though. Like, so I don't understand though. How did it not work initially? Like, when did it become like this whole?
When did it catch fire?
Yeah, because like initially it sounded like almost like a neighbor dispute, but then like the town got involved,
yes.
And that really switched things up. And so, I guess, was there ever a chance to go back and disengage the town?
Not really. We tried to do that. And the thing about it was when we first built this patio, or we're building it, the inspectors showed up and they would say, we'd say, well, do we need a permit? If they would have said we needed a permit, we would have gotten one right there. And if they would have served a stop work order, we would have actually done it. But the city also said that they served a stop work order. But what happened was the guy who was supposed to serve it wrote it up, and we have the email where he said, I'm supposed to serve a stop work order at the Peck residence. He put our address out there today, but my babysitter didn't show up, so I have to stay home. I can't go into work today. He never served the stop work order. They have all this on record. And I showed it to them like, here is the smoking gun. You never served the stop work order. And they said, well, you should have paid attention to the stop work order. I'm like, am I invisible? Are they not hearing me? I have your emails, Freedom of Information Act. So anyway, that was part of it. The other part was my neighbor kept complaining and kept writing a lot of emails. We have all of them. He kept writing emails and complaining. And we told the city, what do you want us to do? You want us to buy permits? We'll buy permits. I'm happy to. And they said, well, tear out the patio. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I said, why did we tear out the patio? Well, we don't know. I'm like, what? You don't know? That's unacceptable. Well, I said, you have an above grade structure. I said, okay, what's the definition of above grade structure? And they whisper to each other, back and forth. And they said, well, we don't know. We don't have a definition. In the history of Indiana, there is no definition of above grade structure. I said, oh, okay. So to be clear, I'm doing something you don't have a definition of. I have an above grade structure, but you don't know what one is. I said, okay, on your way home today, Mr. Bureaucrat, if a cop pulls you over and said, hey, here's a speeding ticket. You were going 50 miles an hour over the speed limit. Like, what's the speed limit? Well, we don't know, but we're pretty sure you were speeding. So here's your fine. That's what they're telling me. So I said, you can't tell me that I'm fined for doing something you haven't even defined. And I said, what's an above grade structure? We don't know. Then they redefined it as anything above 18 inches. Mm-hmm. So what they did is they made most of the residents of Marion County criminals, basically, code violators, because who doesn't have something over 18 inches? And that includes temporary structures like a trampoline, a countertop, chairs, furniture in your yard. Everything is a structure. So this is bureaucracy run amok.
Yeah, it is. And it is very frustrating. Go ahead, Tiffany. And then after you, Tiffany, I actually was able to pull up the Gordon Pipers that were on the Gordon Pipers that I visited Ray earlier. We'll play that. It's really cool that when they did that. So go ahead, Tiffany, fire away.
Yeah. So Brad kind of got to it. So I remember when you told the story initially, your neighbor was playing a big part in this. Has he moved? Does he want to sell his home? What's the story there? Because
No,
I know a good realtor.
he is still under the same bridge he was under before.
He's under
Hey
the same
Tiffany, hey Tiffany, just go by and put a sign in his yard. Just put a sign. Put somebody else's in there. Put my cousin Cynthia's in there. Put her a sign in the yard.
He is definitely. I mean, we have a lot of fun at our house, and I will say, we irritated him a little bit, but when they wanted us to kind of quiet down, we ended up having 2 pipe bands play out in the backyard, and that's not quiet at all. But we had a lot of fun. John was there, wasn't that great?
Yeah, with a lot, and people in boats came up. I mean, we'll play it here in a second.
Even the DNR
Tiffany,
was there.
Let me go ahead and play it. Let me go ahead and play it right now, and it's a couple minutes, but it's really cool. So here you go.
Oh wow!
There you go. So I guess
fun.
it's 20 seconds worth, but I thought it was 2 minutes. Yeah, I can't read too well on here. Remember, let me remind you on the button pusher and the host. So it's sometimes I get a little confused, but there you go. That was really cool to have them up there. That was around race time, wasn't it?
Yes, my son is the youngest member of the Gordon Pipers, and so he was playing there, and we had a Canadian band in, and they were leading out the what do you call it, the Borg Warner Trophy for the race. And while they were here, we had them in for a party at our house, and just to make sure people knew the patio isn't gone, we had a televised party on the patio.
Yeah, it was a good time. I tell you, I just had an idea. I think when that business neighborhood services gets open again, I think we run the pipers through there, all day, just up and down the hallway the whole day. So,
I would do that in a minute. And you know what's ironic about the whole thing? I must say, we've met with a lot of people at the business neighborhood services. Most of them are nice people. Most of them are decent people, friendly people. It's the management there that doesn't have, they have no desire. You point and they look at your finger. I'm like, no, do this and that. Like they don't know what they're doing at all. And there's no accountability. They need someone, and this isn't just BNS, Business Neighborhood Services, this is every government bureaucracy. They need someone that you can talk to get something resolved. When they finally decided to get this resolved about 2 or 3, 4 months ago, they sent a guy named Matt Pleasant out, and he was just like his name. He was Pleasant. He came out and he resolved this whole thing in 40 minutes. Normally, I would have a word in there, 40 blanking minutes. The whole thing was done and resolved to everyone's satisfaction. And it was so anticlimactic. Like, all right, so if we do that, we're done. Yeah. Okay. 6.5 years. Where the hell were you in 2017? So that's what we need. We need someone who, what do they call them? An ombudsman, right? Is that the proper term? That's what we need is more of a Matt Pleasant out there, because you get the people that they're not out to solve a problem. They're out to service the bureaucracy.
Yeah. So one of the problems that we have is we were operating off of, when you pulled this original permit, we were operating off of the 2005 code update. And I thought that was a pretty good code. But in 2019, Mayor Hogsett decided, and Jason Larison, who was in charge of BNS at the time, decided they're going to use this multi code. And it's basically something from California that is a utopia. If you could afford to do this, you'd have the utopia place. But it is so confusing. It covers everything from sidewalks to, it's a big gobbledygook of things. It would take forever to train people, and they take 9 weeks to train these inspectors, and a lot of them will work a week and then go somewhere else and say, I've been trained. I can be an inspector in your area and not have to deal with this in Marion County. So they, spend 9 weeks on somebody, lose them in a week. And I think the police have this, but that's part of the problem. I really think we should go back to the 2005 code, make a couple adjustments on it that everybody knew. Everybody knew what to do on that code. And then they changed it. And as you say, there's no one there to be able to explain it to people and figure it out. And it's so arbitrary that it just causes problems. And, they can come out if they don't like you, which I've been that, and they can write you up, stop your job, fine you more, make you get more permits, whatever they feel like doing. Because if you don't do it, they can't throw you in jail, but they can put fines on you, and they can put it
No,
on
they
your
can't.
property, and if you don't pay them, then they can sell your property because you didn't pay the fines. So it's
the old
really
zoning code was this big. The new one is like this big.
Yeah,
it's over 700 pages, and it covers everything. And whatever they don't know, anything they don't understand, you find out very quickly that they say, well, let's look at it and let's come up with the worst possible interpretation. If we don't know whether it's 10 inches or 5 inches, let's assume it's 20.
5 feet.
Even worse. So they have no desire to help you. That's the thing, is they're all trying to cover their you-know-whats and make sure that they don't get in trouble. But again, next time you go in, they're gone, and there's somebody else.
Yeah, there's somebody else with a different opinion. I'll tell you a funny story. I had somebody that was very helpful down there, and I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to throw her under the bus, but she directed me to this Muni Code website, but she misspelled one of the letters. And when it took me to this website, it was in Chinese. And I'm like laughing. I'm like, man, that is so funny. That joke writes itself. And it was back there. We got a good laugh out of that, because a lot of this to the layman is going to be Chinese. Even contractors have trouble with this Muni Code.
Oh, yeah.
And, like I said, Jason Larison, who's now a counselor, I think he's not even going to be a counselor. He was in charge of BNS. He initiated this stuff, and then 6 months later, he leaves, goes to the city market, and we all know how the city market's doing. And then he gets to be a counselor caucused in, and now he's gone. So he's a professional government skipper, and and I would like to say he left a trail of good things behind him, but he left a trail of mess, and they won't fix it. So I didn't want to really make this, but I know too much.
No, you're right, because they're supposed to be civil servants. They're supposed to be helping people and not becoming predators, bureaucratic, predators. And that's the problem, is having dealt with them for 6.5 years and having talked to every possible area of the Indianapolis bureaucracy, I never, ever came away, neither did my wife, came away with the idea that anybody wanted to help me. Nobody did. No one did. We tried to get people to come in and meet with us, come out to the patio. Let's figure this out. Let's talk about this, write something down, and then we'll do it. And let's come to agreement. But the problem is, even when it was written down, they would change their mind. And it was awful. And there was no consequences. You could point out to them, here is the email where you say to do this. And here is where I said, okay. And you said, thanks, then it'll all be over when you do this. And then they would change their mind as soon as you did it. And they wouldn't care about the email.
Yeah, they don't care. Okay, let's do this. Let's go Tiffany, Lucy, and Brad, and then we'll wind this thing up. So one more round.
Ray, just a quick, easy question. So John was saying earlier that this place is completely funded by the fees they collect.
From what I hear, I'm not sure.
Oh, do any of these bureaucrats, do they get any type of incentives based on
commission?
Yeah, commission or incentives or end of year, metrics, payouts based on how well the agency does?
That's what I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I know they raise a lot of money, but what I found is there really wasn't any organization because everybody kept leaving. Even the management left a couple of times during the process of making this happen. And the problem of our case, the problem too is the people they brought in did not know anything. In fact, at the first meeting, and I will say the reason I know this, there were several people within the Indianapolis bureaucracy that were disgusted by what happened and have been helping us. Who's been coaching us and working, behind the scenes saying, hey, I work there. My name is X and I want to help you. But they said the new lady in charge sat down with her team and said, hi, I'm the director. I have no experience in zoning at all. I have no code enforcement experience. I've never been in the trades. I know nothing about building. They can't put together something from IKEA if they wanted to. They have no idea about building at all, but I'm in charge and I don't really know what to do. And the problem is they don't pay the price. The citizens pay the price.
Yep. And then she goes on paternity leave. She gets in office for like 2 months and then goes on maternity leave for like 6 months.
That was a scam. They were all mad about that.
I can help you with the question, Tiffany, a little bit. So the recent thing that they've done to give incentive to get people is to give them, if they clear out 15 or 20 of these cases, they would get an incentive bonus. But I don't know if that got initiated or not, if anybody took them up. So that's sort of what it is. But, you think about it, a lot of these things don't. I have a lot of examples on the art center here where I got run over like Ray did, sort of on that. I did my rough-in inspection, sent my completion card in, and no one came out and did a final inspection. When I finished up my house, after all those hoops and hurdles and everything I jumped through, sent in my completion card, and no one came out and did my inspection. So it is that, to me, you would want to at least drive by and see if the guy completed the work. And what they told me was, well, we do so much work on the front end that we feel like it's all good by that time.
Well, I can tell you something rather shocking here. Check this out. After our case was kind of resolved and the news story took place, apparently more than 50 violations were reported in our area based upon this new interpretation of the code. Over 50 were reported with minor residential structures, over 18-inch, structures and whatnot that were all in violation. They were there. Instead of investigating them, one of the guys for the city, his initials are TW, say administratively dismissed by TW. All of them were administratively dismissed. So when we heard about this, and some people from the city said that, they said, apparently it's a law that only applies to your family. I said, I didn't know.
We call that the pecking order. That's called the pecking order. So you are low on the pecking order. Sorry.
It must have been a lunch meeting the founding fathers had, outside the Constitution thing. Like, hey, if you don't like someone, you can make your own law to apply to them and dismiss all the others. But
welcome to America.
No, it is. I have the addresses and the complaints. They sent me a copy. They said, you're not going to believe this. People filed complaints on other properties just like yours, and they were all dismissed. Not yours, though. Yours is still there. So you have the only law in Indiana that only applies to one family.
Wow. And again, you're a lucky guy. You're a lucky guy. So Lucy, what's your final question on this deal?
I don't even know if I have a question, but I will say this. First of all, John, that gal that gave you the wrong link, she was actually trying to rickroll you, but she was incompetent at that too. and second of all, as far as answering the question about incentives and commissions and things like this, that's not the point. The point is to get more money in to grow the bureaucracy, because then you can hand out political favors like your idiot coworker. You can like employ their idiot nephew, and then they've got long-term job tenure and you're just funneling money into political families. So I guess, Ray, the obvious question here is, are you going to run for mayor of Lawrence?
Well, see, I'm in Indianapolis. And if I ran for Indy, I've had a lot of calls about that. I really have. People said, you should run for mayor. I don't know. I've had too many parking.
Are you a libertarian? Because, the big problem with Jefferson Shreve is the fact that he couldn't distinguish himself. He dressed exactly, like the other guy. They literally look like,
they look like opposite sides of the same coin.
I've actually asked Joe Hogsett like 3 different times to put me in charge of business neighborhood services. I'll fix it. And he just
something. He's a Democrat.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Fixing it would be in his best interest, but apparently not.
Well, the problem you have is, they're politicians. Their first priority is getting elected. Second priority is getting reelected. The third priority is irrelevant because you never get to the third priority. So that's all they're trying to do, and that's what happened here. So we had to fight, and we had to make them. We had to be an increasingly painful thorn in their side. For them finally to say, God, enough of this guy. Let's get rid of it. That's the only way you're going to beat the bureaucracy, is to personally make them miserable until they finally want to throw you to the curb. That's
that can be painful. But Lucy mentioned our Jefferson tree, but he put his money where his mouth is, $100,000 towards the animal shelter.
He did.
I mean, hey, I'd be, after spending all that money on the mayor's race, I'd be like moving. but anyway, so Brad, you got the final question here, or the final comment, or final all that?
Yeah, I do have a question, but I want to say, like you're trolling with the pipes. That was amazing.
It's been fun
because I didn't know what it, like, it didn't click what it was. It didn't click that it was bagpipes to me for some reason, and then like as soon as I heard it, I just started laughing so hard. That was pretty great. So you touched on it a little bit earlier, but what would accountability look like for you? Because is it more Matt Pleasant, or
we need we need to clone Matt Pleasant. He was a nice guy. He solved the problem in 40 minutes. We need to have, what accountability needs to be is, you're able, as a taxpayer, as a citizen of Indy, you're able to at some point say, wait a minute, I have a question. They told me to do this and I did it. And now they're messing with me and they're ruining my life. So you should be able to go in there, sit down with people who can make a decision, and then the decision is carved in stone. The problem you have is there is no accountability, because everybody you talk to tells you something, but they don't talk to each other. No one ever says, okay, Tom Weber told you to build this and then you'll be done, and therefore that's the law of the land. No, Tom would tell you something, and then the next person would tell you something else. And technically you have to do both, even if they're contradictory. So accountability would be the citizen, the taxpayer, having a way to nail down what they need to do to get out of this. They have to give you an exit ramp. And that was the problem, is they did not give us an exit ramp. They kept us on the road. We continued to fight. But, again, like I said, not everybody's going to be able to spend the money we spent on this. Most people would just have to prostrate themselves and, in front of the city and say, I give up, do whatever you want with me. And the city laughs, ha, ha, ha. And then you're destroyed.
Well, at the time too, your time.
The time. Oh God, I probably had 1,000 hours into this. I really did.
I can't imagine. Yeah, this was done for.
And I run a company.
I don't. Yeah, so I think that's forgotten sometimes too.
And that was the most expensive part about it, is I had to not do my job because I had to go downtown to meet with a bureaucrat and or go to a hearing, or meet with people in the yard. Okay, what about this? What about that? And the people I met with, most of them were nice, were friendly, but they were saying, I don't know what to do either. I've only started last week, and then they're gone the next time. And what they say is, the system is watch one, do one, teach one. That's what it is. That's how they learn. Watch one, do one, teach one. So the people who don't know what they're doing, but through no fault of their own, they just started, they're teaching other people who don't know what they're doing. And now they have 700 plus pages of zoning, zoning stuff. And like I said, they were almost uniformly friendly and nice, but there's no accountability at the top. Whatever they told me was never abided by. So if a zoning inspector tells you, and here's a big takeaway from this, the city and the judge made it very clear that you cannot trust what a zoning inspector tells you. They have it in our ruling that if a zoning inspector comes out and says you're fine, there's no stop work order, you don't need a permit, or your permits are fine, if they tell you that and you act upon it, you cannot hang your hat on that. They can come back and change their mind. It's called a latch estoppel. If they tell you something and you act on it, and then they come back and say, hey, we changed our mind, a latch estoppel would say, well, you based your decision and your actions on that, so it's valid, so they have to stick by it. No.
Okay. Oh, no, they don't have to stick by it.
They don't have to stick by it. That was in a ruling. That was a formal ruling by the judge that you cannot depend upon the word of a city inspector. They're only giving you your opinion, their opinion. So when I got calls from builders, the builders are saying, so who is the final word? if we have an inspector come out and say, hey, you're fine, you can continue building, well, we obviously can't depend on that. Who do we talk to get the final word?
You know? It's like in Big Lebowski, where it's like, it's just like your opinion, man. Like, how does that? So is it everything just their opinion, or just that?
Whatever a city zoning inspector tells you is only their opinion and is not valid, and it is not the opinion of the city zoning bureaucracy. And they can change it the very minute they get back to the office. It can be thrown out.
Yeah, Brad, I'll give you
done when they say it's done.
Yeah.
When it's done, it's done. Your permit's been closed out, completion card, all that stuff. Brad, I'll give you a really good example. When I did my room addition here, I have a steel beam going across basically my studio of my garage. It's been up there. It was not on my plans, but I don't have every electrical thing on my plan. And I asked him, I said, well, do you think I was going to put 30-foot magic 2x4s up there to bridge this thing? Now that's okay. So he made me get another permit, and then I had to get an engineer to stamp my drawing that I made and I designed, which is still holding up. And that cost me about $800. Mm-hmm. Inside my house, I have an 1880s barn beam spanning an area. No questions on that. Not a question one on that. So there you go, Brad. That gives you a good example of what the heck, there was no reason for this, but I think he stopped my work for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Waiting for me to get this done. And that's sort of what that's what you're dealing with. And it just, and in fact, the pink behind there is actually my stop work notice for my house, which I had 2 of them because of some little thing that they found in the book to mess with me. So I think, Ray, back to your point, I think we're going to end it on this is, the city's supposed to help us get through these processes and not burden us. Yeah.
And that's what it gets to be a contest of how hard can we make this on those people?
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, they were trying to make an example of you, and it didn't work out so well for them. And I just, my hat's off to you for fighting these people. I live in Mars Hill. My neighbors can't afford to fight people like you did. And, good job on your part. So we're going to go to the conspiracy theory. I don't know if you want to stick around. If you got your tinfoil out, you're like a regular on this show anymore.
I could stick around. What the hell?
All right. Yeah. What kind of trouble can you get in now? Your political career will be ended.
I should get my tinfoil hat. If I had one, I put it on. I'm sure I have a hat in here somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, you got like 12 seconds to do it. So here you go, everybody. Get your hats on and ears for Brad.
Hey, y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out, and let's see what's going on this week.
Okay, well, there we go. Let's.
I looked, I didn't find, but I'll do the best I can.
That's okay. Our guests aren't expected to have that, so that's okay. Look at Lucy; she's got her hats. Your lighting's better. You got something fixed, didn't you? Didn't you get some? Oh, now it disappeared.
She's in her kitchen.
Yeah, she's gonna play the piano for us later.
My dear husband got me a new computer for Christmas that has evidently a real camera. It's amazing what 4 years will do to a laptop camera.
Wow, and all the pay you're getting on this show, it's all great. So why the conspiracies? That our last week's show was all conspiracy theory stuff, and I've not played that on Channel 40 yet. And Ray was a guest on our show about permitting, and when we talked about his situation, and I'm on the KG board, Community Action of Greater Indianapolis, and we do help underserved people that they honestly, our people could not fight what happened to Ray. They would just have to either lose their house, not do the project, or whatever. And it's basically a prison for people that want to improve their lot in life. Because then once you do improve it, they tax you more. Mm-hmm. So, that it's a double whammy. And I know, Lucy, taxation is theft. And every day I agree more and more, especially when I got to write a big check to the IRS this year, which I should be happy because that means I'm making money, but I ain't happy. They weren't out there in the mud with me laying bricks. Why should they get anything of my money? Right there. So that's that. So anyway, Tiffany, I did
off my lawn.
Yeah. I want to throw rocks at people out. So anyway, Tiffany, what do you got anything for,
I sure do.
Oh.
This is my conspiracy theory. I've shared this before, but we are really in the throes of the season where it's important for people to moisturize. In the past, I've talked about a subset of people who believe that it is not important to moisturize. I was sitting next to a friend at a meeting, and I mean, like the skin was literally falling off the tops of his hands. It was dry and cracked, looked almost like scales on a fish. I saw another friend on Saturday. I mean, the area above his anklet sock looked like flour had fallen onto his leg, and he couldn't get it off. So I if you can hear the sound of my voice, you need to moisturize.
Sounds like a real attractive guy.
He's a great guy. But I mean, wow, like just so dry. But if you can hear my voice, you need to moisturize. Butters, lotion, oils, just please do something.
Do something, yeah.
Do something. Of course, he is on a dating website right now telling women how beautiful he is. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they don't show pictures of ankles, so I don't believe.
No.
As far as I know. Oh, I got it. I made up a joke, a bad dad joke again, so I'll run it by you guys. Where do archaeologists go to find singles? At a carbon dating site. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I guess that was not that good. But anyway, I feel good if I'm making up a little joke. That means
I'm a dad joke.
Yeah, dad joke. I'm going.
Maybe you should say there's a new dating site for people over 60. Carbon dating.
Oh, don't this isn't fix the joke. I'm not that Bob Zaney guy. Fix the joke. Hey, what are you talking about here?
Yeah, I'm just trying to help. I am Tiffany, and I am helpful. I tried to fix your joke, and I'm
try to fix my skin.
Moisturize.
So Tiffany, you need to get a moisturizer sponsor on here for sure.
I know, right?
Since we can't ever get Spirit Airlines,
and in a pinch, coconut oil. Oh my God, you can get like a container like this on Amazon for like $7. Lizzo has the song All She Needed Was Coconut Oil. Thor. No, I'm not going to rub your feet, but you should get some coconut oil.
There we go.
What kind of request do we get?
Pay me enough to rub somebody's feet. That's probably another reason why I'm single. But definitely some coconut oil. And
I don't want to be smelling. What's that Rupert Holmes song they call the Pina Colada song? I don't want to smell like a pina colada. So caught in the rain type of thing. So
WD-40 work, right?
Yeah.
You know what? It's a lubricant. You know what? If you do nothing, and if you were to grab the WD-40 that's like under the kitchen sink or in the shed and spray that on your skin and rub it in, I would not be mad.
That would be really.
I got some really bad stuff there that I almost said that I would definitely have to edit off of Channel 40. I'm not saying it. So Brad, what were you getting ready to say?
Is there anything that coconut oil can't do? Because like I thought, I had always heard about cooking popcorn with it. And yeah. Oh, by the way, like I don't know about you guys. I eat popcorn like pretty much like 3 times a week.
Popcorn.
Yeah, 3 times a week, I'd say. Like we just make it and it's always here. And so olive oils are good to do that. I've never done a coconut oil though.
We're getting into wintertime. You got to try something new.
Spicy ones. Ooh, it's so good sometimes.
I make my own popcorn too. Cook it on the stove.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what Lucy's doing over there. It's she like
she has on her cloak of invisibility.
Yeah,
she's like someone beaming her up.
Okay.
It looked like she was being beamed up, didn't it? Star Trek.
Yeah.
So Brad, do you have a conspiracy? Do you have a conspiracy?
No. I
Lisa's got to go. She had some issue there. So hopefully everything's okay, but she had to go. Okay.
She's audio only.
Yeah, maybe Spirit Airline took her out too. I know that. So okay, now we got 4. Then there was 4. So Brad, what do you got? You got something?
Just the Dune 2 trailer. I don't know if you guys saw Dune 1.
I saw half of it. You finished watching it.
Oh man, go to the theater and see it because like if you try to watch it at home, you don't watch it at home. Like you need to
good effects.
It does. Well, I mean, because like the story doesn't keep you in, I think, sometimes in watching it at home. There's too many distractions. Like, get your ass to the movies and go see it.
If I haven't seen Dune 1, should I see Dune 1 and then see Dune 2, or just can I see Dune 2 and just will it make sense?
It'll still be probably awesome. I mean, just based on the trailer, it looks pretty cool, but I definitely see the first one because they'll probably do like a little synopsis in the beginning, like kind of like a Lord of the Rings thing where they like do like a little basic, recap. But
so it's out in theaters now. So maybe we can get Dune.
Oh no, it doesn't come out until
so you could catch up. They have like a little Star Wars trailer that in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. I love it when they do that. It's like, all right,
it's very, very dry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, well, here's your job, Lucy. I mean, Tiffany, you get a moisturizer. Brad, you get the Dune 2 people on the line, and we'll get some sponsorship going on this mess. And then Ray, I think you should do some sponsorship on pavers or bagpipes or something.
I could do it. I have a conspiracy theory.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, go ahead. Since Brad didn't have one.
Yeah, I whiffed. So.
We were talking about dating websites and what they should put on them. One of the things they should do to like screen people is don't ask them all these questions. You should get a video of the person you're thinking about dating while they're dealing with a slow internet connection. You don't know a person until you've seen them when they have a slow internet connection. That's who they really are. They're like, ah. Have you ever seen that?
No. I see the connection commercial where the gal that's about 15 years old talking to her little brother on there about how the internet was slow, and she says, the little kid says, "You sound like my grandpa." And I think, well, I don't know, Brad may not be old enough. I don't know if you had the internet in the 90s when we had "You've Got Mail." And
I was right on
the when the phone goes upside down on the little thing. Yeah, that was
it was awesome.
Columbus was
around.
That's
what the good thing about being
Columbus.
Old is,
they had it
before I could vote. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm old enough. I think Ray might be old enough. Ray, you might be old enough to remember when they advertised cigarettes on TV.
Oh, we loved them. Oh yeah, it was great.
It was like
we had candy cigarettes. You know,
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should, and then we'd say more taste, fine tobacco. So my mom, when she would give us more milk, we'd say more milk, fine tobacco, and pull the thing away, and she'd pour it on the table. Then we get beat. So
that was what it was, and they give you a little warning, and it's like remember, don't smoke. Remember, every time you smoke a cigarette, God takes an hour from your life and gives it to Keith Richards. So good reason not to smoke. And when I was a kid, I remember asking my dad, I'm like, why do they have a smoking section in this restaurant? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's over in the same, it's like having a peeing section in the pool. Why that's stupid. And they're like, yeah, shut up, kid.
Like airplanes.
Hey, this is an ool because we don't want no pee in this pool.
Yeah, you don't want any. Oh my gosh. And then, but again, that's what kids ask parents. My daughter, when I was coming down here today, I stopped and brushed my teeth. She says, "Aren't you going to be like on a podcast or something? Why brushing your teeth?" Like, shut up, kid. Go do the dishes.
Go play on the.
There were always tiny little ashtrays everywhere.
There were.
You can smoke on the airplane. You can smoke on the airplane.
Like, I was thinking.
Doctor's office.
Just into walls. They would just pop out of places.
Oh yeah.
So now we're talking about legalizing marijuana. So that's a new kind of secondhand smoke right there. So I mean,
that's just to help the snack food industry.
Yeah.
I want to sell more pizza. So you start smoking pot, you end up having a term I just learned: a snacksident. A snacksident is when you have a couple of potato chips, you end up eating the whole bag. You have had a
I'm pretty good at that one. I've been doing that for years. So Ray, I'm going to give you the Lucy treatment here. Was there a conspiracy theory in there somewhere? Now, there's a lot of good stuff in there, but did you have a theory?
Oh, conspiracy theory. I think people date for the wrong reasons. I think people they should be realistic about who they're looking for. They don't want to see someone when they're smiling and happy. They want to see them when they have a bad internet connection. You want to see them in traffic when they're, that, I guess, is that a conspiracy or is that just something that pisses me off.
No, I think that is. I don't know what that is.
I think you're
for
right.
this show, it's good. So, Tiffany,
This
are
is
you
probably
listening
the
to
only
this?
person who's on a dating site. I think you are right. We do date for the wrong reasons. I mean, you actually think that you're going to find somebody who's attractive and smart with good like emotional skills and problem solving skills, who's healthy both financially and physically, who doesn't have like a crazy temper, who cleans up after themselves. I think that most of us are just really looking for too much.
That
They-
sounds
I
like your
love
bio.
red
That
flags.
If
sounds
we
like
can
what
just
you're looking
lower
for.
the standards
Red
to like the
flag.
floor, we'll all be happy.
Yeah,
that's what you need. Yes.
I think
My
we
favorite
should have,
woman was always the next one, you know. So,
Yeah,
hey, you had
we
fun
need to
dating
have
me.
the-
Don't tell me, tell your friends.
Yeah, the
Oh, I was
Tiffany Tips on Dating website. So I can tell a story on myself. So when I got divorced, I got on Match.com and I was on there for 1 week. Met one person, married that person, and what I did was I went through the bios of what women were looking for. They said they wanted somebody tall, handsome, and funny. I said, well, I got 2 of the 3 of those. So I mean, I don't know which one they are, but and Lisa, my current wife, she was on there for 4 years. It was her last week. And the biggest pet peeve she had was when somebody said they were 6 foot tall and she's 5'8". And by the way, if she would have only been 5'7", she would have met my target. So I would have never known her, but she was 5'8", and that was my low height number. So she would say, this guy would say he's 6 foot tall, and I would meet him and I'd be looking at him eye in the eye. He was not telling the truth about his height. So that was her biggest pet peeve on that. And then she had to kiss a lot of toads to find the prince. That's all I'm saying.
But you married the first woman you met. Isn't that kind of like going to Golden Corral and only getting a salad, and not going through the buffet line too many times?
No, it's like getting 27 salads.
One?
But the thing is, I say I'm Match.com. She's Matches.com. I was Match.com. But and as being a psychologist, two-thirds of rebound relationships fail, but 1/3 is successful. So put me in that top 33%. And so far it's been working for, we've been like 11, 12, been married 9 years, over 9 years. And I think we can make it at least a couple more months.
Why didn't you just say, Tiffany, you're in the bottom 1%? You just could have said that.
The bottom 1%.
Yeah.
You got to have a rebound relationship to be qualified. So
thanks. I'm not even in the bell curve. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
You're an outlier. You're an outlier.
No, that's good though. That's like a really good batting average.
Yeah, so
it's better than
Tiffany. I don't want to hear it. You got a fan club over here that's like, I don't even watch the show if Tiffany's not on there. I'm not watching the show. But now they know you don't. Now they know you don't rub feet, so you probably lost a couple. So
who doesn't rub feet?
Oops.
That's what Tiffany said.
Well, you know what? I don't believe in lying. So you need to know what you're going to get up front, because that could be a real big deal breaker. We get married, it's the honeymoon, you pull out those great big crazy hairy feet, and I'm like, nah.
You're marrying
Bigfoot. She's used to dating Bigfoot.
She's marrying a
That's
hobbit.
why I can't find him. I'm looking for Bigfoot with shoes on. Like, where are your shoes?
You actually put that in your profile. I'm looking for someone with big hairy feet, or
no, because I would find them. Oh my gosh, like some of that, like gym pictures.
You get so many pictures.
And dead animals.
Oh yeah, that's
it's like, I don't know if the dating scene's any better or any worse, but I had not been on a date for my previous wedding for like 25 years. So I really was out of the loop, so to speak. So I was not sad to be off of the market. So, but Tiffany, how long have you been on this dating crusade?
I've been divorced for maybe 12 or 13 years. I think 13 years. Something like that.
Wow.
12 or 13 years. Like,
So
I've had a couple of relationships, but it's cold outside. I shave my toes.
You shave your toes?
It's cold outside.
It's a box you can check on Matt.com. Do you shave your toes? Yes. Yeah.
But it's cold outside and it's Christmas, and I don't want to be, I will be under the mistletoe by myself, but this is the one month of the year that you get really nostalgic, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's like you needed +1. That's how you deal with it. The +1, right? It's like, it's all good. All right. Well, this show has officially gone to the dogs.
Well, as it should. That's a good place for it.
And it will go there. So, Ray, we thank you for coming on. You've been a hoot. I think we need to have you on the panel as a panelist at some point. So, we'll keep in touch. I've really enjoyed getting to know you. You got a great sense of humor and a great attitude for all that you've been through. And it's just a shame that people have to go through this, but sometimes we go through this. So maybe the next guy will say, "Hey, I want to be like Ray."
That which doesn't kill us makes us stronger, as they say.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, so thanks a lot. We're going to do it. I think I got the right thing up here. We're going to call it a night. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tell your friends, share it, and all that good stuff. So we'll catch you next week. Next week, we'll catch you. See you.
Yeah.